Okay, subframe braces, attempt number 2. What I've started with is a piece of 1/4 inch here, and I've just rounded the top edge off, and I'm going to go off of here, and I'm going to do the left side first because it's the easy one. I'm going to try and stay, reasonably high and tight, come down here to the foot peg mount. So it's going to be a lot like my first version, which is over here in the pile of failed dreams somewhere. Well, it's in there somewhere, but yeah, it ended up in the scrap metal last time, but this time I'm going to build a little bit nicer, a little bit cleaner, and yeah, do a little bit more professional job on it, I suppose. Okay, what I'm going to do is use this $75 eBay special 12-ton press to bend a piece of stainless pipe, and I just kind of held it up to the bike and put a mark on it about where I want it to start bending, about right here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and crank on it a little bit and see how it turns out. This is actually the first time I've used this specific bender. I have used benders in the past, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, just kind of roughly holding it up there. That looks a lot better than my first try at doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that off a little bit shorter, and then I'm going to cut a slot, probably cut a slot in the end of this, or take part of this off so I can weld it to there. And my other idea is to actually do like a slug and plug type thing, which I'll explain in a minute. Alright, I just kind of guessed, took my best guess on the angle to cut this stuff at, and I took a big chunk out of the back side there. I'm going to go ahead and tack weld this onto the bottom, and then I'll draw on it and get the other side tacked. Okay, I got that one welded on solid, and then I went ahead and held it up there with a bolt in the passenger peg hole, and then I marked my rear bracket. I'm going to take that off and weld it on next. Alright, here's how it turned out. I got that end welded on, and then as you can see, I put a little bit of a kick inward on it, and that's to get this part out and away from the chain guard a little bit, and it'll also hold the saddlebags out. I also kicked this out at a little bit of an angle from about here back, and that's to keep it off of the frame rail of the motorcycle. So there is the left side. Now I got to build the right side, and then I got to build something to hold the two apart. Okay, I decided to put a little bit of a spacer in here to get it a little bit farther away, and I'll show you the reason. I went ahead and laid on the back of the bike basically to compress it, and it was hitting the swing arm, or not the swing arm, it was hitting the chain guard. So I just spaced it out a little bit. Now if I lay on the back here and pull down, you can see it misses. So that's the reason for the spacer, which it probably doesn't hurt to get it a little bit farther away from the tire also. Okay, now I'm going to do the right side, and I've used a piece of aluminum fill rod to kind of mock out what I'm going to be doing here. It's not going to be that close to the muffler, but you get the general idea. Actually, if I hold this out here, that fill rod kind of shows where everything's going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and build the tab off of here and the tab for there, and then just start filling in between. Okay, I've got the tab on back here, and I bent this piece in my cheap little eBay bender, and it did put a little bit of a kink in it, but that's more compression than an actual kink. Yeah, a little bit, but it's not bad. I mean, you're not going to notice it unless I point it out to you if you just walk by the bike. But what I'm going to do here is just run just slightly below the guard, the black part of the guard, so it's just slightly below this white part of the guard when it gets down here, because it's a little bit lower. And then kick it in and down a little bit, and then I'll have to kick it back this way and do this weird little compound cut to get it onto the plate right there. So I'm going to go ahead and weld that the rest of the way, and I've just got it tacked right now. Okay, what I'm going to do next is slug and plug. Slug and plug is when you take a piece of pipe and then you take a piece of solid rod, put the rod in the pipe and then slide another pipe over it to join it. And the first thing I'm going to need to do is drill holes in here. So I'm going to drill a hole all the way through here, and then 90 degrees from that I'm going to drill a hole a little bit farther down. Okay, now that I have the holes drilled, so you can see, all the way through, I'm going to go ahead and measure how far down that is. And then I'm going to go a little bit past that last hole, about that far, and then double that distance and cut a piece of solid rod to whatever that measurement is. Okay, I've got the middle of my solid rod insert marked, and I took some of the burrs out of the inside that were created by drilling. I removed those with just a little rat tail file. And then I'll insert this up to that middle line. And then I'm going to go around and weld those holes. I'm going to weld the outside pipe to the inside rod through the holes, fill the holes in, and then I'll slide my next pipe over top of this. And I blew the breaker. Shit happens. Be right back. And there is the first part, or the first half I should say, of the slug and plug. Then you just repeat the process with the pipe on the other side, and you weld this pipe to the other pipe once you get them slid together. Alright, now that I got that on there, I stuck that piece of pipe on there and kind of lined up the angle I wanted at. And then when I had it on here, I marked right here, that mark, where I want the bend to start. So I'm going to go ahead and bend this a little bit. And that's going to start coming in this way. And we're going to hopefully make it go right to here, and we won't need a goofy compound bend at the bottom. Okay, I had to go back to the bender a couple of times for this, but I got it about the right angle. And then what I did is I made a mark roughly parallel to this this tab, and I have this a little bit farther down than it needs to be, so that when I cut this and move it back up, I don't know, precision guesswork. That could be the new channel motto. Kory's Rides, precision guesswork. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut that now. Okay, there's my first try, and it's really close, so I'm just gonna make up the gap with fill rod instead of trying to make another one of these, because I don't think I could get that close again. So there is this side so far. To finish up the other side of the slug and plug I'm doing, I marked where the pipe needs to go with that ID mark you can see there. And then I'm going to drill this pipe just like I did this one and weld the holes to the rod, and then I'll weld the two pipes together also. Another thing you're going to want to do is, you see that I ground an angle on the end of both of those pipes. That's another thing you're going to want to do when you do this slug and plug, so that you have a good welding surface. And I know some people even leave the pipes just a little ways apart, and they'll weld each pipe to that rod where they meet, and then they'll weld the pipes together, so they'll make a three-pass weld, which I'll show you here with a bad picture in just a second. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm just butting these two up together. And then in this little valley right here, I'm just doing a single weld all the way around. And what I've done in the past, and what people have suggested to me before, is to do a method like this, which mine's not incredibly structural. I mean, it is, because it's a subframe brace, but it's not like a frame rail. I fixed a Honda CB360 doing this with on a frame rail, and what the method here is you leave a gap, a little bit bigger gap between the two, and you weld the first pipe to the rod, and then you weld the second pipe to the rod, and then you go back over top of it and do a third pass and weld everything, both sides together, into the rod. So you can do it whichever way you want. I'm just doing this because you got to remember, you got it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plug welds on this too. So frame rails, I'd suggest doing that, but like racks and lighter duty stuff, this is fine. Alright, there is our finished slug and plug weld. I haven't really thought this completely through because this is all I really need. But I was thinking on this side I might need something a little bit lower to keep bags from swinging in the muffler. So some sort of pipe here. My other idea is to take another pipe here and then bend underneath the muffler and then go up. But you just have to stick around and find out what I do. Okay, so once I got my slug and plug weld done, I went ahead and put it on the bike and I tack welded this on, and then I went ahead and burned it all the way in. So yeah, there's that. And while that's cooling down, because it needs to cool down before I put it on the bike, otherwise it'll melt the plastic, I'm going to go ahead and put that bolt back in. And because I've got 2,500 ice screws in my tires, and it rained before it did this, I am going to go ride a little bit. And don't worry about the van, that's a loaner car while my truck is getting warranty work done on the crate engine. But yeah, let's go for a little ride. Well, I got a little bit more precision guesswork to do here. Hopefully I don't bust myself in the face with this battery and break my teeth if this catches, but yeah, gonna go ahead and try and notch this real quick. Well, that went a lot easier than expected, but what this is gonna go onto is, get my square out of the way, right here. Go ahead and weld that up, and then it'll go up to there somewhere. But yeah, like that, something like that. I just got to cut that off and get that notched, and probably gonna notch that end with an angle grinder because it's kind of on this curve, and my eBay bender changed that curve a little bit. Well, it ain't pretty, but I did this with an angle grinder, and I haven't used the flap wheel to take it down and make it look pretty or, you know, weldable yet. But I put this side down here, put that side up there, we've got the side piece. Okay, I went ahead and tacked her up on the bike just so I could get it in there right. So you guys see how it's coming together? They're almost the same height. They're almost the same curve side to side, but I'm gonna go ahead and take it off and finish welding her in. Okay, I had to get a little creative with welding inside here and welding the inside of there, but screwed it to the wall and braced it with some magnets, but got them welded all the way around, and now all I have to do is slap that on there and figure out the piece in the back. Well, I was looking at this, and I was looking at my little tab here, and as you know, the reason I have that tab is initially I didn't have the spacer. Well, I decided I don't like that. I'm going to throw this frickin' thing away and start over on this side. So, yeah, sorry you watched me build that, and I'm going to throw it away, but I wanted to show that this is what happens when you prototype products. You know, you get something in your head, and oh, I got to change it here or there. You know, initially this was here, and then oh, I got to stand it out a little ways, and then all of a sudden, nope, I don't think I like it anymore. So I'm going to throw that. Well, yeah, I'm just going to throw the whole thing away because it's just a couple of bends, and then start over on this side. But the other side's done. Okay, I'm not throwing away the entire brace. This is the one I built initially, and I've just cut it off, and I've increased this bend a little bit. So I got to pull it over a little bit, but yeah, like that. And what I'm going to do now is do a slug and plug here, so I can save that. But then just going to come up here and then connect to this and notch out a pipe that I've got bent. And I'm going to start here and then just kind of nibble back as I need to. So we'll go ahead and try this one-handed. This will be interesting. Yeah, I broke a tooth off this when I dropped it earlier, and this isn't working one-handed, so before I break my wrist, I'm going to go ahead and do this with two hands. Okay, I got the saddle cut in there. So that is going to go on there like that. I just got to do a slug and plug, but you've already seen me do that, and then tack weld everything together, pull it off the bike, weld it solid. Okay, there it is all tacked up on the bike. I'll just pull it off and weld everything in solid. And something I thought about was putting a bar in right here. I think I might actually do that, but I'll do that once it's off the bike. You know, that way it'll match a little bit better side to side. It'll keep that big open hole from getting the bag sucked into there, because I'm sure that'll happen to me. Okay, I got the left side done again, and I just fused these two pieces together. I had two scrap pieces that made up just about the length I needed for this piece, so I just fused weld those together, and then there we are. And now I've got this piece, which I notice is a little bit thicker wall, and I just put a big bend in it, and I cut it a little bit longer on this side, a little bit shorter over here. And this is going to go back here like that. And I'm just going to weld it on for now, but then I'm probably going to have to cut it when I take it apart and put like a little clover leaf in it, like a circle with 3 holes in it, like a flange on each side of a cut I'd put like right here, so you can bolt it and unbolt it. But I'm just going to weld it on for now. Alright, I've got that crossbar tacked in. And now I'm going to try and remove it all in one piece and see if it'll go on and off like that. And if not, somewhere in this piece, probably over here, I might have to cut it apart and put a flange in there so I can unbolt side to side. Alright, there it is. It did come off in one piece and it slides right on. So I'm going to go ahead and weld that part in solid, and then I should be done. It is stainless, so I don't really need to paint it, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it as is after I get that back part welded in. Okay, I dug my last attempt out. The difference is between the two, obviously one's stainless and one isn't, but this one's got C-channel around the pegs, or the peg mount. I welded caps on the end. Not really a very strong mount. And in the back here I've just got a piece going across with these going up to the tie down bolts. Got a little offset there for the muffler, but altogether a pretty poor attempt. This one would not go on and off without spreading it apart, so this is going to go back into the scrap pile. And now the new one, as you can see, is done. And I got this, I'm going to call this a tire loop, welded in, and that's just to keep it from squishing together if I lay the bike over on one side or the other. And this one actually does go on just like this, so I'm not going to have to put a flange in here like I was thinking to be able to take the pieces apart and then bolt them back together. Stainless, so I'm not going to paint it. And I'm going to go ahead and install it and show you that you actually don't need to do any prying or pulling or bolt the flange together on it. Alright, let's see if I can get the camera lined up for this. You can see that this loop back here clears. There we go, it bottomed out there. So everything clears. Next step is to actually put the saddlebags on and get some way of mounting the saddlebags all on here figured out, and then yeah, go out and beat the crap out of it, see if it holds up. So there, finished product.